For decades, the American passport was one of the most powerful in the world, opening doors to vacation hotspots, business hubs, and even remote corners of the globe without much paperwork. But that privilege is fading quickly. In 2025, more and more countries are saying not so fast to U.S. travelers. Places that once welcomed Americans with open arms now require strict visa applications, background checks, and proof of financial stability. Some of these nations are longtime allies, others are dream destinations for tourists, and all are making a statement. The age of automatic American access is over. Stay with us as we count down the 10 countries where U.S. citizens now need visas to enter. And before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to Global Lens for in-depth analysis on how shifting global policies are reshaping travel, migration, and international relations. Chapter 1. Brazil. Brazil has always been a top destination for Americans seeking beaches, carnival, and the Amazon. For several years, U.S. travelers enjoyed visa-free entry, a gesture of goodwill designed to attract tourism. But in 2024, that policy was reversed. Brazil reinstated visa requirements for Americans, citing reciprocity. Simply put, since the United States requires Brazilians to obtain visas, Brazil decided Americans must do the same. The process isn't impossible, but it's a far cry from the casual trips of the past. Travelers now need to submit proof of income, hotel bookings, and travel itineraries, and in some cases undergo interviews. For many would-be tourists, the paperwork alone creates hesitation. Local media in Brazil highlight another layer: frustration with American behavior. From ignoring local customs to overcrowding popular beaches, some Brazilians believe American visitors abused their previous privilege. Reintroducing visas sends a clear message: travel should be mutual, respectful, and fair. Chapter 2. Argentina. Next is Argentina. Once considered a haven for American tourists, backpackers, and digital nomads. From Buenos Aires tango halls to the rugged beauty of Patagonia, the country attracted thousands of U.S. visitors who often stayed long-term thanks to favorable currency rates. But in 2025, Argentina brought back visa requirements for Americans. The official explanation is security. Yet many observers point to domestic politics. Argentina has faced years of economic instability, and politicians have leaned into nationalism to strengthen their platforms. Requiring visas from Americans not only restores a sense of sovereignty, but also addresses local frustrations. For years, Argentines had to pay high fees and face difficult interviews to visit the United States. Meanwhile, many Americans treated Argentina like an inexpensive playground. The new policy reflects a growing desire for balance. Already, tourism operators in Argentina report a decline in U.S. bookings, raising the question of whether politics is worth the economic cost. Chapter 3. Turkey. Turkey's decision came as a surprise to many. For years, it was one of the easiest countries to enter, offering simple e-visas and visas on arrival. That changed in 2024 when Turkey introduced tougher entry requirements for Americans and other Western travelers. Processing now involves extended timelines, more documentation, and mandatory travel insurance. This is not only about border control, it's political symbolism. Turkey under President Erdogan has increasingly distanced itself from the West, projecting independence as a regional power. Requiring Americans to go through additional checks is part of that strategy. Turkish citizens have long complained about humiliating U.S. visa interviews and high rejection rates. By tightening rules on Americans, Turkey is sending a clear message: relationships must be reciprocal. For U.S. tourists, it's an inconvenient hurdle. For Turkey, it's a statement of sovereignty. Chapter 4. Thailand. Thailand's economy has long depended on Western tourism, and for decades, Americans enjoyed visa-free stays of up to 30 days. Many stretched that privilege with visa runs, repeatedly exiting and re-entering to live in the country for years without paying taxes. In 2024, Thailand closed this loophole by requiring pre-approved visas for Americans. The reform was marketed as a way to reduce overstays and illegal work, particularly among digital nomads who were flooding cities like Chiang Mai and Bangkok. But the underlying issue was resentment. American tourists, often more visible and outspoken than others, became a symbol of exploitation. Now, U.S. citizens must show proof of onward travel, financial stability, and sometimes even biometric data before entry. Immigration enforcement has also become stricter, with a special task force targeting illegal employment. Thailand's shift is a reminder that even tourism-dependent nations are willing to prioritize sovereignty over visitor numbers. Chapter 5. South Africa. South Africa's change came more quietly but is no less significant. By 2025, U.S. citizens are once again required to apply for visas. The official line focuses on security protocol enhancements and alignment with international standards. Yet behind the scenes, it's widely seen as a diplomatic pushback. Relations between South Africa and the United States have been rocky for years, strained by trade disputes, climate policy disagreements, and geopolitical differences. Visa-free travel had always been seen as a goodwill gesture. Now that gesture is gone. The new application process is cumbersome, demanding background checks, biometrics, and even financial disclosure. For South Africa, it's about asserting independence and reminding the world that even major Western powers do not automatically receive special treatment. Chapter 6. Indonesia. Bali has long been a dream destination for American travelers, with millions visiting each year. For decades, entry was easy. No visa or just a visa on arrival. That ended in 2024 with the introduction of Indonesia's Tourism Fairness Act, which requires pre-approved visas for Americans. The law was designed to crack down on what officials called tourist misuse. Overstays, illegal work, and disruptive influencer culture were common complaints. Americans, along with other Westerners, were singled out for abusing the system. Now, U.S. travelers must apply at least a month in advance, show proof of accommodation, demonstrate financial solvency, and even pass a character assessment. Some pilot programs include an ethics clause that could deny visas based on online behavior. While controversial, these measures reflect Indonesia's determination to protect its culture and economy from over-tourism. Chapter 7. Morocco. For decades, Morocco was one of the easiest North African destinations for Americans to access. But in 2025, the government passed the National Sovereignty and Border Regulation Act, requiring U.S. citizens to obtain visas. The motivation lies in intelligence sharing, or rather, the lack of it. Moroccan authorities claim that the United States withholds security data, making it difficult to monitor travelers. Another factor is resentment toward digital nomads who have transformed cities like Marrakesh and Fez, driving up housing costs and sparking protests. Youth organizations in Morocco even lobbied for stricter tourist controls. For many Americans, the new rules feel like a door slamming shut on a beloved travel destination. For Morocco, they represent an assertion of control over who enters and why. Chapter 8. Malaysia. Malaysia shocked many by revoking visa-free access for Americans in 2025. Long considered a welcoming destination, Malaysia cited mutual respect and security as reasons for the change. However, analysts point to deeper frustrations with U.S. immigration policy. Several high-profile cases in which Malaysians were denied entry to the U.S., despite valid visas, sparked outrage. Nationalist factions within Malaysia's government seized on this sentiment, arguing that it was time to level the playing field. Now, Americans must undergo background checks, show return tickets, and in some cases sit for interviews. Tourism numbers from the U.S. have already dropped, but Malaysian officials appear unconcerned. For them, it's about dignity and sovereignty rather than maximizing arrivals. Chapter 9. Kenya. Kenya's decision was part of a broader African Union initiative demanding reciprocity from Western countries. In early 2025, U.S. citizens lost their visa-free privilege. The government's language was blunt. "We are tired of unequal treatment." The new rules require Americans to apply through an online system, submit itineraries, and document the purpose of their visit. Tourist visas are capped at 30 days with no extensions allowed. Any violations result in automatic blacklisting. For Kenya, the policy is as much about symbolism as it is about security. It demonstrates that African nations are willing to stand together to demand fairness from countries like the United States. Chapter 10. United Arab Emirates. Perhaps the most surprising change came from the United Arab Emirates. Known for glitzy cities like Dubai and Abu Dhabi, the UAE has built much of its economy on tourism and business travel. Yet in 2025, it removed Americans from its visa-free list. The reasons are layered. Officially, the UAE cited non-reciprocal policies and updated security protocols. Unofficially, it's about power. The Gulf region is redefining its global role as the era of the petrodollar evolves. By making U.S. citizens go through lengthy visa approvals, the UAE underscores that it is no longer dependent on American visitors. The move shocked business leaders and diplomats, but for the UAE, it was a demonstration of independence and influence. Across Brazil, Argentina, Turkey, Thailand, South Africa, Indonesia, Morocco, Malaysia, Kenya, and the UAE, a pattern emerges. These countries are no longer willing to grant Americans special treatment. The reasons vary: politics, reciprocity, resentment, and sovereignty, but the message is consistent. The American passport is not what it once was. For U.S. travelers, this means longer planning, more paperwork, and sometimes fewer opportunities. For the world, it signals a shift away from American privilege toward a more balanced system. Whether you see this as fair correction or troubling decline, one thing is clear: travel is changing. If you found this breakdown insightful, don't forget to like the video and share it with others who still believe the U.S. passport opens every door. And for more deep dives into the changing dynamics of travel, global relations, and migration, make sure to subscribe to Global Lens. The conversation doesn't stop here. We have much more to uncover about the world in transition.